Hello and welcome to day 2, class number 2. We are talking about how to enroll and lead the legal intake and enrollment process. We have a jam-packed agenda today, so make sure that you get your notepad and your pen, and you will want to take feverish notes. Once again, we will get this transcribed and we'll put it back in the end of the academy at the end of each class. So I ordered class number 1 last week, and that should be posted here within a couple hours after this class. And then we'll have this one posted here shortly after. Any other housekeeping rules, Roz?
Yeah, just if you have any questions, just go ahead and park them underneath the live. And again, this is for you all. So we will, in the last 10 minutes, we'll be really intentional with cutting it off and checking in and making sure that we hit any questions that you all have. Please, please, please don't leave anything at all on the table. This is your safe place to show up, ask questions, get what you need.
Yes. And if there's somebody in your firm that you want them to, after last week's class, this week's class, that you feel like it would be relevant for them, forward it to the email that we sent you when you joined, and have them join this Facebook group and just shoot us an email. You could send it over at info@legalmarketingflow.com to Molly, to Roz, what have you. Post it in the group and let us know who they are so we can let them in once they request to join. Okay, as Roz said, as we go through class today and we say something that you need clarification, verification, confusion, or you have a comment, or you want to add your feedback or your perspective to in real time, post it in the chat. And at the end of class, we will go through all your questions. If we don't get to all the questions, then what we will do is we'll make certain that we answer them after class and this form as well. As always, request time to hop on a call with us. If you need any help, do not suffer in silence.
And you all are in this group and you have complete access to the platform. So even if you want to post a separate question afterwards, pop it in there. It doesn't even have to be under the live. If you're stuck somewhere in the week and you're like, I want to ask this question, please pop it in the group. We will 100% show up and answer.
Yep. And what else do I want to say? Oh, this week. All right. So on Tuesday after the holiday, I put a tool in there and a video in regards to 9 ways to support your boss. Make sure you go into the guides and download that. And then Raj, you put something in there on Wednesday as well. The 8 keys to an empowering conversation.
Yes. Yeah. So if you all are feeling anxious or stuck or having just an uneasy feeling about walking to the table and having difficult or tricky, or you're feeling emotional about conversations, that is a great tool to look at, because that's the time where you want to be strategic and not emotional and show up from a place where you're really empowered, you're calm, and you're coming at it from solution mode. So please look at that too if you're feeling in any way, shape, or form that in your belly.
Yep. Okay. At the end of the comments in the Q&A session, where our goal is to leave 15 minutes for that, because we want to hear from you, how you did on your homework, where you got stuck, where you got jammed up, how you did with your powerful question from last week, what insight, what clarity, what feedback you got. Start putting it in the comments right now as you join, and start putting it in there, because we are going to hit it about 45, 50 minutes in. All right, let's hit it. All right, today we are talking about how to own and lead the legal intake and enrollment process. We are going to break all 4 of those things down: own, lead, intake, and enrollment. And the intake process, which really is something that we are very passionate about, number 1. Number 2, we are in so many legal forums, listservs, Facebook groups, things of that nature. I can't tell you how many attorneys that's their number 1 struggle. That's the number 1 thing they are pining for a breakthrough for. That is the number 1 question that goes into those Facebook groups about your intake process. And really, the intake process begins when a prospective client gets in touch with the law firm. Marketing's role is to get the PNC to call the law firm. But it doesn't end when the firm has a client fully onboarded. After the onboarding, i.e. hired, engaged, The client goes back to client services and back to the marketing coordinator and to the legal team, your paralegals and attorneys, i.e. your production team, and then begins other relevant processes for tackling and solving the client's process and building the product. And then it goes back to client services and marketing for presentation and the experience of the product. And we're going to get more into that, of what that means, especially from each of these two roles, which is the primary focus of these 5 weeks. So you don't want every single client, nor will, after talking to, will every client want to work with you in that, in your particular firm. So from the client's perspective, the intake is also a way to be able to sussing out leads. And that crucial data for client services and marketing coordinators alike is to know the why of why we didn't get that client, why we didn't want that client, so we can use that liquid gold information for copy and content and for up-leveling our intake, for our follow-up, so we can always grow and lead in your position, and also use that information for crucial data to be able to speak into the client or prospective clients, listening in a way that makes a difference for them. We don't have time in this session to go into different examples around that, and I'll make a note for us to possibly we can do a sidebar within the next week, little Facebook Live for you on that I'll do that as a nugget for you, because we could talk all day about different examples for that. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what it means to own and lead, and why you want that data, even if it was that you did something wrong. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But it really truly is easy and simple as that, honestly. But for multiple reasons, we overcomplicate the intake process. We overcomplicate virtually every process, but today we're talking about the intake and enrollment process. The intake process is really about onboarding clients efficiently and effectively, and actually and excitedly as a law firm. Lawyers are super busy people, professionals. They are at the front line of legal matters, marketing. They're at the front line if you have a court-driven practice. They are locked in a conference room, constantly on stage, providing advice and solutions for super tricky, murky, emotionally driven, emotionally charged issues, resolving disputes, representing clients all year round, all day long. And then they come out, and it's like that old school commercial, depending on how old you are, of like Time to Make the Donuts, where they feel like Groundhog Day when they come out. And the goal is to not have a line of employees with more problems for them to solve. And that's our goal at the end of this 5 week, is to empower and excite you guys to be able to take that off their plate when they talk about stepping up and lead and owning it. So there's a lot on any given lawyer's plate, with endless tasks that need to be completed, on top of very serious looming deadlines and constant client related pressures. And it's easy for quality to slip. And in essence, that's the intake process, especially when it comes to intake. And, I found this data in preparation for today about 61% of law firms forget to ask for clients' name during their initial conversation. And we know that is true. We hear that constantly. We look at KPIs, we look at reporting, we look at leads, we look at conversions all day long, every day, and we love it. And we can't tell you how often that is missing, that raw data that it seems so very simplistic and a no-brainer. But it's fascinating how long, because of the lack of an intake process and because of the lack of the inspection of the intake process on a daily, if not weekly basis. And that's why 35% of calls from clients go unanswered. We know, we talked about this last week. We've called your offices. The people that are using these outsourced services, especially since COVID, they served a purpose for a time and they're great for evenings and weekends. But and you want to start inspecting some of them, but the data is, I'm surprised it's that low. And it typically takes 3 or more days for 42% of law firms to respond to prospective clients. That is so unacceptable, especially since COVID. 24 hours is even too long anymore.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah. I just want to chime in on that just to kind of drive that one. You're losing business, 100% losing leads in business if you are waiting that long to do it. I mean, and you should seriously consider having a live chat on your website. It's at that level right now. People want immediate answers and support, and they're getting it.
Yeah. Yeah. They're demanding it, and they should.
Yes.
They really should.
And it's converting. Yep. Those chats are converting. The people are capturing leads. So you got to be responsive. So I love that you said that. So spot on. That is, it's crazy that number is still even there to me.
I know. For a law firm to keep its prestigious reputation and to continue working with great clients that you actually love and they love writing you a check, the intake process needs to be effortless, and it needs to come off effortless. It needs to be effective, efficient, and done properly and precisely and consistently looked at every single week during your weekly stakeholders meeting. So what does the definition of own mean? What does it mean to own it? It means, from my perspective, and Roz and I spent a lot of time preparing for today, to have confidence, presence, and awareness. You know, these are words that we have exactly from your attorneys that we have heard from people when we've spent, like, they'd be like, I just wish someone would own the intake process. I just wish someone would own marketing. We're like, what does that mean? And they would give us these gobbledygook words and we would just continually break them down because we're like, your team doesn't know what that means. So owning it, you know, you own it. If you are confident, you are clear, you are present, and you have awareness. That's when you fully know that you own something. It's in your bones. You know the standards and the structure. You own the outcome. You own the decision that you just made, especially when it's a wrong decision. And you can show the math. You can show the critical thinking. You can show and effortlessly explain the why you did what you did. Regardless of the mistakes, the outcome, the results, you're not defensive, you're not triggered, you're not taking the why did you do X as you're in trouble or you're being ridiculed or someone's being negative or a micromanager, they don't trust you, or all this other bull crap that we tell ourselves when we don't own something and when feeling that you're being ridiculed, because you are steadfast in your why. You can anchor to it and you have no attachment to if it was the wrong decision because you own it. So if you're not feeling confident, you're not feeling present when you're in a marketing meeting, when you're leading the marketing initiatives, when you walk out of the marketing meeting and you know what the next right move is, it's so clear. You're fully confident of what you're supposed to be doing. You're on the same page. You're present. You're aware during the meetings and you have it in your bones. Even if you made the world's most colossal mistake, there's no personal reaction to that. There's no trigger to that because you own it.
I love that so much. The mistake part of it is such a huge piece. I think that is what people need to think about when they're wondering, am I owning this?
Yes. And what does the definition of the intake mean? The intake means it's not about your checklist. It's not about checking all the boxes. We'll get into that later and the need for that. But by and large, a definition of that, whether you're sitting in the marketing or client service coordinator, from our perspective, is the facilitation. You know how to lead the questions to ensure you get the answers you need. even because you have the confidence, you have the presence, you have the awareness, you own it. So now you have the intake piece of it, and you're able to ensure you get the answers needed. You receive all the information you need, knowing the full process and the impact on the task and the information you are getting on the team, on the attorney. It's sitting in the conference room with half-assed information or no information or not clear information if not done right. Intake means you have clarity and expectation management from beginning, middle, end, and why on both sides, from the client's perspective and internally from your perspective, knowing that by and large, your desk, it is owning that marketing strategy or owning that once they become a client. So whether it's a PNC and or if it's, so even if you're marketing and you launch a campaign or you do a blast or you do a blog or whatever it is, you better believe that you're going to own that intake process, because that data is going to impact your marketing budget, your strategy, your conversions, and it's going to give you what you need to know if your messaging and targeting are on point. So when you have that clarity, and expectation management is not about a checklist, is not about an intake form, by and large, with the definition of it. You know how to facilitate that 20-minute, 10-minute phone call. If you're a dragon, if you're doing the non-attorney intake process, whatever it is, to get the information that you need, not just on the form, but going above and beyond, because you're present, you're aware, and you're confident. And when a client says something or a prospective client says something, you're like, wow, that is important information, because you're present and aware. It's not just about the boxes on the form. And what does the definition enrollment mean? So let's talk about this. This is actually one of my favorites. For a long time, I'd be on my soapbox about empowerment and things of that nature. Now I think that word's been so bastardized everywhere, and people didn't even really know what it meant. It meant that they were bold or boisterous or renegades or what have you. I do like the word empowerment here, and going into that, or enrollment here, and that could be another definition of that, where it really means engagement, excitement, coupled with the empowerment, because the empowerment means you're confident, you're present, you're aware, you own it, and you know what to do with it. You don't have to delegate back up to the attorney. You know how to make a decision to fulfill the need, and then go back and clarify and verify with whoever you need to make sure you were on the right track. And if not, I'll go and clean it up. There is no mindset that we hear all the time. I don't want to give the wrong answer, or I don't want to look stupid, or things of that nature. You're not giving legal advice in the marketing and client service role. Your goal is to serve and get people excited and to take the next right move. Empowerment's also an authentic, powerful way of communicating that really grabs people's attention and stimulates their interests and empowers others to embrace, support, believe in your position, idea, philosophy, and it motivates people to want to become part of your firm, take ownership of it, and then act in their best interest to create the possibility they didn't even consider until interacting with your firm in the messaging, marketing, and on the phone. And we'll talk about the different parts of the phone, from initial phone call to getting people to become walking ambassadors and referrals for your firm. Enrolling is also a way for you to be unique and leave the person better than they were when they first had that interaction with you, whether it's a Facebook ad or it's taking a phone call or what have you. And leave not only a lasting impression, but they can't stop sharing about it. And the bottom line, I'm just going to say this too, enrollment is absolutely sales, closing, and hiring. At the end of the day, all these other fluffy things are great from you in the client services role, you in the marketing coordinator role, but you're deeply, deeply, deeply invested and curious about the bottom line. Not from a place of, well, it's not my job, or I don't have any control if the attorney screws it up in the conference room and we don't get hired. No, but you want to know, you're deeply curious about every crumb of information because it supports you in both of your roles. And we're going to get into KPIs in a few classes. I can't remember, 2, 3, or 4, something like that. And we're going to go into giving you the structure and the framework for the data to be able to, well, don't worry about, you don't know analytics and data because it's not that hard. You just need to know, you need to be deeply curious. You have to own it. You have to lead it because you're confident that you're curious about it and that you're invested in it. And you also are aware and present. So anything else you would say or add to that, Roz?
No, I think you nailed every bit of it. I would say though, the only thing I'm thinking is honestly, go back and listen to all of that just one more time, because there's so much of that piece of it that you got to have in your bones, in your belly. And if you're questioning any piece that Molly just anchored to and referred to, just go back and listen again and write it down and think about what muscles you need to be working to continue to massage and get into that place of owning it.
Yeah. And when you said that, and as I was talking about that, we prepared for this over the weekend, this week, what have you. And I interviewed a marketing coordinator this morning for a firm, and they're just looking for an entry level coordinator, implementer, project manager, what have you. Well, in 4 seconds, I knew she had owning it. And when it came time for her KPI, she's like, I never handled the analytics stuff of it, what have you. What do you mean by analytics? All right, sign number 1, she was deeply curious.
Yep.
And she didn't just fluff it or what have you. So right there, I'm like, she's hired because she even asked that question.
Mm-hmm.
And then number 2, she started going into, okay, like she owned it. And she's like, so you mean this and you mean that? Well, you're going to show me how to do that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, yep, we'll show you how to do that. She's like, okay, I got it. I understand it, what have you. So that is a definition. She doesn't know anything about it, but she's deeply curious and she is 5,000% committed to the bottom line. And she 100% has own, lean, and enroll in her bones.
Yeah, clearly.
Okay, so we're going to talk about, and this goes the same for client services and marketing coordinator. So if you're like, I don't answer the phone, I don't handle intake, no, stop it. None of that stuff's allowed here. Like there is a piece of this for all of you. So we're going to talk about really the intake process here for you to be able to shine in this role. And we came up with just a simple 5-step process here. For number 1, the initial phone call in the intake process, we want you to put yourselves in the shoes as the client as well as the attorney. So you have an intake form, and if you don't have an intake form or an intake process, or even if you do and you don't love it, you're like, I don't feel very confident with this thing. It feels very clinical and robotic. Then schedule time on your team's calendar, whoever needs to be there, and take initiative and be like, this feels wonky. It doesn't feel authentic. I don't feel like I have enrollment in my bones with this thing. Bring it to us. Share with us in this group what you have there and be like, I hate this thing. Like, I feel like I'm working in a dentist office. Like, people can feel it. They know it when you're in fact, I always tell people, change that word. I hate the word intake and I hate the word initial consultation. You're not a doctor's office. You don't want to treat clients like they're clinical. Come up with a more empowering word, and maybe we can have a fun class on that to support you all. And I can actually, I'll drop a couple naming conventions, and Roz can too, that I've been playing with that I think feel a lot more enrolling and inviting and empowering for the client. But you have the form. So if you don't have the form, you don't know where the form is, find it. see if you like it. If you don't like it, schedule time, have a fun pizza party and for an hour and you guys go through it. And if you don't like the form, you don't like typing in the form, while if you're a paperless office or what have you, that's okay. Do it the way that works for you, but you have to make a commitment, put in your time calendar to put it in the database. I do not like to type while I'm on the phone with someone. Very rarely, unless they're a client that has been there, and I will communicate, hey, I just want to let you know I'm typing right now, and this because I have no time to do notes this week, and I want to type this up and email it to you. It's got typos, everything. It's not great, but this is it. But I can't do that. I need pen and paper so I can penetrate every single word, and I don't forget anything, and I can be present. So it's not about checking a box. So do what works for you. If it doesn't work for you, we hear this all the time from client service coordinators and marketing coordinators and what have you, taking notes during the marketing meeting. The thing that you miss is going back and updating the database, going back and updating the marketing plan, and then sharing it with people. So do what works for you, but go through that initial phone call, that intake process. And I want you to think, I'm done with this process. Now, the next step is going to be the welcome packet, the client homework. The next step is the attorney's going to get this file, whether paper, paperless, whatever, and they're going to have to show up in this conference room as a rock star, and they're going to have to communicate like they know everything about this person already based on what you've done in the intake. And so when they think about the attorney, when you're done with the next intake process, think about if the attorney is sitting here with this client to close a $5, $10, $20, $30,000 fee, are they going to show up like they know everything they possibly need to know about this person as a human being and their family fact pattern?
And I just want to add in there that they're not having to repeat everything that they just told you.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
I mean, there's fine to get some clarification, but it can't be another discovery meeting where you're drilling down the reason why they're there. I think that would be the deciphering factor right there.
Yeah. And I love that. And it made me think there's actually 4 seats I want you to sit in. Yours, because this file is eventually coming back to you.
Yeah.
And you begin with the end in mind. So you're going to have to start with where you started. So when you get this file back to you, whether you had the right information, enough information, what have you, you're going to have to call the client back, and that'll suck. And also throughout the entire process, this file, you're the owner of the file. And also, marketing wants this information. Marketing should be looking at these intake sheets weekly. In the weekly marketing meeting, we're looking at, all right, how many initial contacts came in? What did they call for? What was the demographics? What was the persona? What did they call? What did they say? So when you're present and you're confident and you're aware, you'll have sidebar notes. You'll have a different information. She was so brokenhearted. When you're present and you're confident, you're not worried about the boxes on the form. You're accomplishing the boxes, but that's not your only objective. You're writing sidebar notes and you're getting into their heart and soul, which marketing wants inside their heart and soul.
Yes.
They don't want into their financial statements. They don't care. They care about that when it comes targeting, but by and large. So I want you to sit in your seat. I also want you to sit in the client seat. I want you to sit in the attorney seat so they don't show up. It's not about being furious about you, but it impacts the conversion rate, closing rate. They can't show up like knowing this person's heart and what's going on with their family. And the 4th seat I want you to sit in, when Roz is talking, it just came to me. I want you to sit into the next client service coordinator or the next marketing coordinator, because you're up leveling to CMO or digital and social media strategist or community outreach coordinator or life care coordinator, whatever it is, and you have to train them. And so think about it if you're like, oh my God, because you are going to grow. And the goal is that you all are consistently up leveling. You are all constantly leveraging and optimizing, and you're going to have to train this person.
Yeah. And I would say train them and have their back.
Yeah.
The person's back that's sitting in the other seat, if you will. And just to clarify, when we say sitting in those 4 seats, really, truly, and I've done this before and have a complete mind shift every time you do it. Be like, okay, today I'm going to sit in an initial consult and I'm going to sit in the seat of the marketing coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
Literally go and do a whole nother, okay, new day. I'm going to go sit in this conference room and I'm going to listen to this as if I'm the attorney. Okay, whole new initial consult. So make sure that when you're not just sitting there doing it in one and going, all right, now I'm going to switch to this hat. Now I'm going to switch to this hat. Now I'm going to switch to this hat. And I know it sounds like it's a lot of time. Even if you have to split them in half, what have you, but it really does make you have different aha moments when you're doing that, when you're going through that.
Yeah. And you're spending that time anyways, chasing crap and information and being frustrated and resentful and upset and pointing fingers. So it's happening anyways. And I love that you said that if you're wearing dual hats and if you are marketing, go sit with client services. If you are client services, you should be in the marketing meeting anyways. And we'll talk about that, I think, in week 5. But you should, if not, go start sitting in there now, because when you see the data they're looking at, they're like, where'd this lead come from? What the heck? Why aren't there any names on this intake? What was that percentage? 60 something percent? Like, it's real. It's real. We sit and we're like, where is client services? Get them in this meeting now. They want to know this. This would break their heart if this was occurring. So that's the intake process. Step 2 is own the welcome packet process, which is the client homework, really managing. So what does own mean again? We're going to quiz you. It means that you have the confidence, you have the presence, you have the awareness, and you can absolutely positively show the math. You can absolutely positively show the critical thinking. Owning it means you understand when you hit send and send it to the client, what that experience feels like for them when they get that email. Hopefully you're not mailing these out anymore, but when they get that email or that Dropbox link or whatever it is, and you're managing the conversation and the expectation. So our homework for you is to sit in the client seat receiving that, and also the attorney's seat, and make it an experience, and do an audit of your welcome packet process and the client homework. What I love about this, so many firms have shared with us over the pandemic, because they were not mailing anymore and they're going through this process. The biggest complaint, what's the biggest complaint in every law firm? Clients don't do their homework. Well, guess what? Because you make it so hard for them. So let's start with making it exciting. Do an audit of that. Here's some drive-by videos or suggestions for you. Have your attorney do a video where they get that video on there. And we can't go in depth on this, but this might be another class that we teach this week. In fact, I'm going to write this down right now. Client homework. I'm going to do a live this week on the client homework. I'll do it today. I'll do it by the end of today and put it in there. So if you're watching the replay, look for this. I'm not going to go too much in detail, but own that welcome packet process, because you all know, well, the client didn't do the homework, so cancel their appointment. You know all the ripple effect that comes back on your plate. Or you're following up with the client. No, I didn't do my homework, so I'm going to cancel the appointment. And then everyone's furious because we have all these cancellations and reschedules, and we were depending on that revenue for this week. Step 3, the follow-up process. Post intake to initial meeting. Do an audit on your follow-up process. Follow-up is still part of intake. Once you do the intake and you have the form, you schedule the appointment, you send out the welcome packet. You're not done. This is a part that most people miss, is step 3 of doing an audit on your follow-up process. What happens after we send out the client homework? What happens on day 2? What happens all the way up until their butt is sitting in the Zoom room or the conference room? So this is post-intake. to getting them to that initial meeting or getting them to that workshop or post workshop if you are doing workshop live or in virtual, in Zoom rooms, what have you. 4, follow-up process. And this is a post initial meeting or vision meeting or whatever you call it, discovery meeting, get to know you meeting, after they walk out of there until hire. So you need to make sure that this is part of your process, is still part of intake. You have intake, you have client homework, you have follow-up process, then from post intake to initial, and follow-up to from post initial to hire. So our call to you, marketing and client service coordinator, is we want you to go and sit with your attorneys throughout this entire process, which is really step 5. After the initial consult meeting, we really want you to go through the process. And we want you to really, and like I said, I really would love the renaming of initial consult meeting. I hate it. It's awful.
Yeah,
And
I think we should challenge you all to just drop a bunch of names in there that we can
Yes.
start playing with. Like, let's start testing and seeing what converts better and people like more.
Yeah, and and please drop them in there.
Yes,
Just brain
would love
dump
to.
them, and let's all like
together.
revolutionize the
Mhm.
intake process. Let's rename that, and the initial meeting. Let's rename that, and initial consult is a term that most firms use. But
Yeah.
here's what we want you to do: marketing and client services is really truly for you to go and experience that process and go to, if your firm's doing a workshop, attend the workshop 3 times. Take notes. Here are the columns that you have on your yellow legal pad. I'm a big fan of pen to paper. And so one is the impact of this workshop on client service coordinator and kind of their role in there. Marketing and kind of their role in it. Marketing, there is so many subject lines, so much data, so much information in that workshop for you. You could write 365 pieces of content just by attending a 1-hour workshop. And then think of the attorney as well, all that work they do to put that workshop on or handle that initial consultation or what have you, and then be in the conference room. And then from the client's perspective, we want you to experience it. We want you to see people walking into that initial meeting from intake all the way to hire as a client and experiencing that. And if you are in a law firm and you have not gone through the process with your adult children or your spouse, or even if you're single, go through the process, talk to your attorney, schedule time on the calendar. Roz and I talked about this last night. We're amazed at how many attorneys are like, when you get hired, you get your free planning done as well. We want you to go through the estate planning process as well. So many employees do not schedule that.
Yeah. And it's such an amazing feeling, just so you know, if you've never done it, that I think that just connecting with that feeling of what it feels like to sign and be done, it would give you a whole different perspective of that feeling of, now I get it. Like, this is amazing.
Yes.
My children are taken care of. My house is, it's like this weight of the world that you're carrying that you never knew you even freaking had until you're sitting there and you're going through it. So seriously, honestly, go through, put it on the calendar now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Are we headed into leading?
Yep,
okay.
please.
Leading. Now we're going to talk about leading, and I am conscious of the time, and we will have time for Q&A and comments. So, leading. And one of the reasons why I said go back and really listen to what Molly was saying, because if you don't get those 3 things into your core and into your being and knowing with 100% confidence, each pieces that she was talking about, it's going to be really, really hard for you to own it in a way that you're standing in it with nothing shaking your confidence. So if there's anything that you need to do to go back and listen again, please, I encourage you to do that, because you've got to get every ounce of everything that she just said 100% clear in your mind, in your heart, so that you can take this and you can lead it. So I want to talk about leading, and I want you to also think about this from a place of really pausing and making your leadership your own. Think about what inspires you, your personality, your Colby, all of those things. This is something, leadership is something that you have to be so connected to, because if it's not, you will waver, you will cave, you will be indecisive, all of the things. So this is something that you have to have continually working on, and making sure that you connect on all of the knowing each of those roles, knowing all of the things, making sure that you're all of that. And
if Roz is freezing up for you guys, please just type it in the comment. I just want to make sure it's not me. Her Wi-Fi looks a little unstable.
Going to read everything.
Yeah, you're all gritty, Roz. I don't know if it's just me. Anyone else? Roz is glitchy. Yep. Your screen and your voice. We can't hear you. Freezing. Yep.
No. I changed.
There you go. A little bit. Maybe stop your video.
Okay.
Just so we can hear you.
Let me just off. Back. Can you hear me?
No.
No.
Go ahead. Talk.
I just saw it's not pretty. No.
No.
Quick. Let me.
Okay, I'll just finish up here in regards to finishing it up here. So how to lead client services. Again, I'll just recap what she was talking about, and then we'll go into the marketing coordinators. So making sure that the clients move through the process, the next right move, the next best step in the process for them. So consistently checking on them, pausing and connecting every step of the way, sitting in each one of those seats. Client services, marketing, attorney. Put your hat in regards, and you can interchange attorney, paralegal from the production side of things too, so they can get the quote unquote product out there. So we can absolutely have that.
Is it better
as well? No, I'll just remove you.
Okay.
So that's that. Checking on them, pausing and connecting. That goes back to owning it. It goes back to leading it. And so they feel acknowledged. They feel heard. This is why people hire you. They feel acknowledged. They feel heard. They feel validated, and they feel safe, and they know that you have a solution, and tracking them every step of the way. Number 2, for client services, anchoring to the key performance indicators, the reporting and the tracking and the accountability. And we're going to show you how to do that. We're going to get into that. But that is having marketing's back and getting, again, deeply, deeply curious. And then being able to run and manage and own and lead the reporting from the database. So we're going to talk about this as well, of how to be able to do that. And if you are already doing it, with most of you are, most people that we've worked with and that are involved in this group in the beginning of the pandemic, if you all haven't spent time in the back end of the legal marketing flow free group that we have out there, go back there. There's so much training. Beginning of the pandemic, we did a 10-day free class. Go back there. Go back. You can search in the guides, are all in there in regards to running report, knowing your 5 key focusers that you want to anchor to. What key performance indicators do you want to? There's so much information in that free group. So put it on your homework list to maybe spend an hour a day in that free group and going back to the guides in there. If you don't know what I'm talking about, put it in the chat and I will put the link in there. Some of you are new to joining this Facebook group. So please, if you're not in there, just put it in the chat and I will drop the link for there. If you have trouble finding the guides or anything around the reporting and how to know your key reports each week, client services, let us know. And we've also done classes for marketing coordinators on the marketing budget, on the marketing plan, and the analytics of what to run. So for the marketing coordinators, your goal is really to follow that PNC, that prospective new client lead, whatever term. We were talking about this yesterday with in another group about how clients or attorneys, they don't resonate. They don't understand the word PNC and lead sometimes, but they do understand clients and customers. Clients, by and large, is the terminology law firms use. So really understanding that, but they're not a client yet until they pay you, until they hire you, till they retain you, right? And so often we run into law firms still that can't even grapple with a prospective client, and why that is almost, I would say, more important than a paying client in the beginning, because that'll give you the information you need to get more consistent paying clients. So the marketing coordinator, making sure the clients and the vendors and the power partners take the next step in the process for them. It's just a mirror. Client services, prospects and existing clients, and anyone in the maintenance program. Marketing coordinators are really the clients, the vendors, power partners, and making certain that you use the same process to model. And you're very heavily invested in that intake process. This is your liquid gold. This is data that you want. It makes your job so easy when the two of you work very closely together. And if you are that same person, that's okay. Just knowing that those are the different partners or players that you have to pay attention to from the client services side and then from the marketing side. So often from the marketing coordinators of how to lead, they feel disempowered or like they have no control over the vendors and the power partners, which a term they used in the 80s and 90s was a referral source. Referral sources do not like being referred to as a referral source. We like the term power partner, strategic alliance, whatever it might be, but it's people out in the community that are locking arms with you and sending you business. Also, tracking and reporting from client services, power partners, and vendors, and KPIs. Again, go back into the free group. If this is foreign to you and you don't understand, let us know where we can help and guide and anchor you to that. Marketing coordinators, also how to lead, what to lead is anchoring to the marketing plan and the budget every single solitary week. And I would even add to that the weekly marketing meeting agenda, owning it, leading it, and facilitating it. Don't put that on your attorney, because otherwise it'll turn into a giant brainstorming session. And then everyone walk out frustrated because we don't have any next actions, or we didn't get to the things that you came in there with as a marketing coordinator to get answers and direction. Following up on reviews and testimonials from clients and power partners. And then again, just really knowing how to run those reports from the database. It's really profound when client services knows how to do their reports and the marketing knows how to do their reports when they're doing a referral tracker, when they're doing KPIs from events or workshops or what have you, and that each person knows which one to run. And again, if you're serving in both of those roles, knowing the key reports to run from the database, not an Excel spreadsheet, not a legal pad, really from the database, because it'll tell you what fields you're missing and what you are able to miss from that. So I know we went fast and we are about 10 minutes here. I really want to answer all these questions here. Keep adding the questions here in the chat. PNC, what is a PNC, please? A potential new client, so a lead. Is what a PNC. Can you put the link in the chat? You bet. Acknowledged and heard. Absolutely. There's a question here. to great naming conventions that you have here, discovery meeting. I love that some of you, and if you could share some of this, we created a mini gold sheet to fill out while on a call that actually serves as a script as well. We have some scripts that we put early in the pandemic. If you all are willing to share your gold sheet and also what you've put on yours and share it with the group, that would be fantastic. And then having a space about notes about the potential client. I love that. So often, we see this all the time in workshops. And when we used to travel around and go to conference, we'd do these coaching sessions and give out tools, and we give them to the attorneys and nobody would write on them. They'd have this fun workbook and then they'd have their yellow legal pad next to them. We're like, you can write on that. We'll give you an extra copy. That's all right. But a lot of times people just, like I said, it's very clinical. They're like, I just need to get through these 16 questions or whatever. I just got to make sure I fill this out so I don't get in trouble by the attorney. No, have sidebar notes, have whatever you need, and then go back and enter it into database. So if you all could share your gold sheet, and that serves actually as a script as well, I'd love that. I'll go back and let me make a note to add the intake and script that we've created and shared in the pandemic, and I'll direct you guys to that. So let me make a note here. I'm also going to do that video on client homework. So I got that down here. I love that someone said, we've also added who referred you and how did you hear about us, as our attorney really likes to know that. It's word of mouth or Google, etc. This is a non-negotiable, guys. Not only does the attorney like it, but marketing needs to know it, because then you have no idea what's working and what's not working in marketing. Not only that, but you have to go as far as, if you are client services or you are the attorney and you're doing the compilation, you're looking at who referred you, especially if it's a referral source, especially if it's a past client. A lot of times it's really cool, and we have people tracking this. They will get one of their columns they have is a PNC, a lead, a potential new client. I can't tell you how many people that didn't hire you, but because you do such a good job on the intake, in your workshops, in your follow-up, all that they're actually telling people, listen, I don't know if they're telling them they hired you or not, but when people are asking, they're like, you need to go this form. Why? Because they felt acknowledged and heard. They felt safe. They felt appreciated. They felt lighter. You left them better than when they entered into your funnel, into your phone system, whatever it is. And they had a joyful experience. And they felt better when they left. And at the end of the day, that's like order number one. They've got to feel better than when they walked into your office or onto your phone system, whatever it might be. So who referred us? If you all don't have, in fact, I'll say right now, I'm going to add that as homework. Look at your intake sheet. If you do not have who referred us on there, you've got to have that. But that's not the end of the line, because marketing needs to get that. And if you don't have your reporting and your CRM all jazzed up and working, all automated and slick, don't worry about it. If you all have to physically bring in those intake sheets every week into your marketing meeting, into your team meeting, and looking at them, please do so, because marketing needs to know who referred us. And a question you need to ask your attorney, what are we doing with the referral sources, the community, the prospective new clients, the existing new clients that referred us? When people tell you, and I'm going to put this as a side note, so often it makes me crazy when people are not running Google AdWords and when people's websites are not optimized and they do not have an SEO strategy around it and is not a lead generation magnet. And we look at reporting, we see this all the time when we start working with firms. Their two top referral sources are Google and the website. Like, that's impossible. Your website is a dinosaur. It is not lead generation. It is not SEO optimized. Nothing that you're sending out there has a call to action leading them back to the website. And you have zero Google presence because you're not doing Google AdWords or LSAs. So client services and marketing, if you're here and you see on the reporting, Google and website, and you fully, wholly know you do not have a digital strategy, a paid strategy for either of those two marketing engines, then really push the people when they call. Oh, we Google. Oh, really? That's amazing. What did you Google? And try to get more information from them. When they get, oh, the website. Really, how did you get to our website? And when they say, oh, I just Googled in, what did you Google? You want to know. Oh, well, actually, Mrs. Smith is a past client of yours, and she just gave me your website, www.gotlaw.com. You're like, okay, the referral source isn't the website. The referral source is Mrs. Smith. Again, when you own and lead the process, it is so critical because you're present. And you're like, no. And even if you do have a robust strategy where you're throwing a ton of money at Google AdWords, LSAs, or you do have a lead generation website, and there's a very big difference in a lead generation website and a brochure website. And so even then, still get deeply curious and ask the questions. They'll gladly tell you, what did you Google? That's a good question. Yeah. Oh, I did it. My neighbor is a past client. They don't call and say, my neighbor told me to call you. She's a past client. Sometimes they do when you're super excited about that, because then you don't have to ask 3 or 4 follow-up questions. So that's really, really powerful. Thank you for sharing that. If you don't have it, go ahead. I love this strategy session or an assessment meeting. I love those too. Those are fantastic here. Please send scripts. We can compare. Yes, please do that. Post your scripts in here so we can do that. I'll go ahead. I'll post a link for the in the chat. Absolutely. Let's see what else. We print out a list of our referral sources, invited them to thank you meeting. And when we can, we have lunch meetings to regroup. That's fantastic. I love that you did that. If you have any tools that can help the rest of the folks in the group, please share that as well. That'd be fantastic. So we did not get to yesterday's homework. I'm thinking that maybe we probably should have a private fireside chat and do that and go through your homework. I'm going to go ahead and post that in there. We'll have a time where it will be 100% Q&A. I want you guys to come into the room. I want you to be able to talk, and you can't do this in this Facebook group. So I'm thinking I'm going to create a Zoom room and send out a link, and we'll do it at the end of your day where you're not jam-packed with client services and what have you. And for us to go on there and get some breakthrough and do some masterminding, do some hot seats to get you what you need from the homework. Because I really, really want to hear, we want to hear how you did with those powerful questions. We want to hear what feedback you got. And then if we do that next week, hopefully in your Monday morning meeting, put this on your agenda. If you all can print out your intake process and bring it to your team meeting and just ask for 5 or 10 minutes of floor time, or your marketing meeting, either one, make sure marketing and client services are both there if it's 2 separate people. If not, if you're client services, get your dual hats on and go through that process and share with your attorney. Like, oh my God, if I was a client, it's so robotic. It's so clinical. It is so stuffy. And I hate asking these questions. This is why I don't fill out this thing. We've had so many people have breakthroughs they're like, why are we asking this question? Well, I don't know, because I got this form from National Network 27 years ago, or what have you, or I got it off the internet or the ABA or what have you. Really think if you were the client calling in, how you would feel about these questions, and add some of these more discovery, heart and soul questions, and absolutely the marketing questions about referral source, and keep digging. How did you hear about us? Really, and keep getting deeply curious about it. Own it and lead it, because they will tell you when you share that. Let me see. Yes, I'll put the link. Yes, I'll put the link. Anything else out here? We got 1 minute. Okay, let's go back. One question is there's a little bit of confusion between step 3 and step 4. I love that question. Thank you for being present with it. There are two, step 3, step 4, and again, the notes will be in here for this. Step 3 is a follow-up process from post intake to getting them to that initial meeting, or some of these fun ones that you all have here in the naming discovery meeting. Let's just even say that first sales meeting. So from post intake to getting them to actually get their butt into the meeting, not cancel, not reschedule, keeping them engaged, keeping them empowered, keeping them excited. And really that follow-up process includes how do we navigate and handle cancellations and reschedules of handling that. Step 4, again, is the follow-up process, 2 totally separate processes. People just batch together a follow-up process from post initial meeting to hire, engagement, closing. So they come into the conference room, they meet the attorney. All the time people will say to us, and I'll say this real quick, I know we're top of the hour. Oh my gosh, our conversion rate's about 90% people hire us. I'm like, really? Okay. When we pull reports, the average is 45.6%, but okay. And so when we look at it and we look at the reporting and the data, the attorney was in the room with them. They were pumped. Everybody loved everyone. It was the biggest Oprah fest and they loved it. And then the client says, I forgot my checkbook at home, or maybe your process is lacking getting money before they even leave. They sign the engagement agreement, or they take the engagement agreement. You schedule the next meeting, but you have no engagement agreement and you have no money. That's not a hire. Just because they told you they loved you, and just because they told you they're going to hire you, does not mean you were hired at all. That goes back to client services for them to make certain they get everything that they need for that. And so there are 2 separate processes. Absolutely. Okay. I know I went 1 minute over. When should we ask for reviews? I'm going to answer that separately. And in fact, I'm going to have Roz do a live on that and put it here in the group about asking for reviews. So we'll get that. I'll have her come in here and answer that question for you. All right. Great work. I have my follow-up. You all have your homework. We're going to get this transcribed and we're going to get in a Zoom room to have a mastermind and a hot seat. Thank you for showing up again this week. Great work. Comments, feedback, share your intake forms in here, please. Please. Let's get some rock solid intake forms. We're all excited about that converts. All right. Have a great day.